Just a few announcements. There's a retreat coming up in early December. There's still some spaces. If people want to attend, you're welcome to attend. Just let me know or let Jennifer know. And then there's another one in February, which is the Maha retreat. It's Rudy Samadhi. And I think, there's about 10 people that have already signed up for that. If you'd like to go, I suggest you get your name in. That one is usually very well attended. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask? No, somebody's got to have a question.
I have a question, Stuart. This is Paul.
Yes,
Do you think there is such a thing as coincidence?
as coincidence?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay.
I mean, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm not going to get into some profound monologue about coincidence. Yeah, things happen. Deja vu happens. Coincidence happens. Here we experience. Look, uh, I'm a really confirmed believer that there is coincidence, there is deja vu, but there are no accidents. And all kinds of things happen. And they happen for a reason. Generally, they're like guideposts that are telling us what we have to do with our lives, with our spiritual lives, with our ordinary lives. And the problem is that people don't listen. Understand? They just relegate it to the world of accidents or coincidence or this or that. I mean, it happened to me yesterday. I had all kinds of nonsense going on yesterday, and I finally surrendered it, and then let go of it. I was getting a little bit upset about it. What upset me really was you sit down and spend your life pouring your guts into a book that is really kind of a very good, amazing book. And then these people get in touch with you that want to scam you using AI, using all kinds of ways to rip you off and get your money. And it really, that's what bothered me, the amount of time, effort to write something that could truly help human beings. And then people being so shitty about the world, thinking they can scam somebody into making some money. And, when I finally let it go, something came that was pretty wonderful, that I was really touched very deeply in myself. It was very good, wonderful experience and a wonderful situation. So you never know. If I would have held on to this other thing, maybe the other thing wouldn't come. But letting go of one thing made room for me to open to a whole new level of a connection with a human being. So look, yes, there's coincidence, there's accidents, there's all kinds of stuff like that. It comes down to what do we do with those things? How do they effectually enable us to do something about our lives because they take place? And I've had many, many of them. And I can tell you honestly, I began to totally relegate the whole term accident to something that, no, they're not accidents. They're messages from God. They're messages from a higher plane of consciousness. They're telling us, hey, fix this, do something about this. And we as human beings, we have to learn to listen. We really have to, and people don't listen. So that's how I relate to those kinds of experiences. I've learned to listen and I've learned to allow accidents and, coincidence and things of that nature to guide me. Say, well, what is it telling me about me? That I can learn to grow from it and I can become a better human being and I can develop my spiritual life. So this is how I respond to that kind of stuff. And I think these things happen so we can use them. They're messages from a higher energy source that can be used to truly work out karma and work out our lives. So I wouldn't relegate them to, you know, something that's not important. I would listen and learn. And if there's something important to take from them, I mean, I know what happened the day I met Rudy. I mean, it was seemingly an accident, but it wasn't an accident. And schmuck that I was then, I had to be reminded when I went to the apartment of a guy living basically in a slum in New York at the time. And there's a huge collection of art, Asian art there. And I said, where did you get it? There's a guy in Greenwich Village named Rudy. It was the gods talking to me. Go back and meet this person. This was not an accident. And it determined the rest of my life. This man was being used by the gods to remind me that I had set out many years before looking for a spiritual teacher. And then I went to meet Rudy. My whole life changed. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I can't imagine there's anyone here who hasn't had experiences like that. And, many of them are probably relegated to, oh, well, coincidence, and that was the end of it.
Stuart,
Yes,
when you talk about, as we go deeper into this work, that our sense of time changes,
by time changes, you mean daylight savings time?
no, just the days, our relationship with time.
And your relationship with time changes. Yes, the deeper you go inside yourself, you realize uh, basically time is an illusion created by the human mind, that keeps people locked in a prison. And you go deep enough inside yourself, you connect with what's infinite in the universe that transcends time, that gives you a much more relevant perspective into the way you can function in the area of time. And another thing that you recognize, hey, I was born here, I'm going to go die there. Time is precious. We're given time to develop a connection with God, to nurture the soul, to build a connection with higher energy in the universe. And we have to recognize the precious nature of time, not to be afraid of it, and not to have fear of getting older and fear of dying and all this stuff. Just recognition how precious every moment is and how we have to truly live like conscious human beings. And we have to develop ourselves and get closer to spiritual life and use the time we're given for that purpose. So, yes, as you go deeper and develop a chakra system inside yourself, you begin to see time differently. When people, they're born and they die, and mostly they're scared shitless about dying, and there's joy when they're born. Not realizing when you leave the world, it's something to rejoice, because what you'll take with you is everything you learned in this lifetime. And if you're going to be prepared for a future birth, you will bring that with you into your next lifetime, given the opportunity to continue to nurture the soul and develop, spiritual enlightenment. Otherwise, time is just Maya. And for God's sake, it is wasted like crazy. It's just Maya, it's an illusion. And the moment we begin to transcend time and space through conscious work inside ourselves, you recognize that it's an illusion, but you also recognize we are all given a certain amount of time on this planet, and we have to learn to use it consciously. It's very precious. Hmm. And instead of getting swept away in all the illusion that time's create, and it really does create. It's like it's like a circus, a three-ring circus of illusion that it creates, and we get swept into it, and all our energy gets invested in illusion instead of invested in a spiritual life, transcendence of time. And that gives us the capacity to be successful in the world, to live in the world, to have good lives. And you understand, at the same time, to recognize these things occur to us to remind us that it's just an illusion. One day it's all gone. I hope that's clear. And I hope it rings a good bell inside of all of you, because time is precious. And why waste it? Why waste it on illusion? I'm not saying you can't go to the theater and circuses and movies and you understand, enjoy yourself. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But to get swept away in the delusion of power and money and all that other stuff that people, my God, you read about this stuff and it's just something beyond. It's just total fantasy. And people think it's real. And the only way you can learn how to recognize it as Maya is to be connected with spirit, because that is a whole different level of consciousness and purpose in life. The time is twofold. It's a prison and it's also your freedom. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, thank you. God bless you. Great Great questions today. Man, I didn't expect to talk about anything like this. They're wonderful questions, and thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you for being in my life. Thank you for being in these classes. And hopefully all of us can grow together with this amazing work that Rudy left us. You know, he really left something extraordinary. And I'm very grateful to each and every one of you. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. There'll be a class this evening, and the next class will be on Sunday. So thank you. Bless you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you for your book, Stuart. It's wonderful.
Bye. See
Bye.
you
Thank you,
soon.
sir.